Hello, the English speakers, and today we'll talk about manipulation. But first, some trees, of course. So this is a common hawthorn, and in the background you see the big, small-leaved lindens that I hope you can recognize on a distance. But here you can see something Russian propaganda or Tatarian maple. So it has like not maple leaves. They usually have that, but for some reason this particular one doesn't have the maple-like smaller versions that they usually have. So this is an oddie one. Bad Russian propaganda, one can assume, or good Russian propaganda and bad maple propaganda. But let's start by taking a big, deep breath. As I said, those dandelions are great for insects that do not like when I harass them, apparently. So let's start with some little nasty propaganda trick here. Only Zionists can be anti-Semitic. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Only Zionists can be anti-Semitic. So, first of all, it's of course not true. You can hate Semites for all sorts of reasons. But that was not the point. I'm not saying stuff to convince you about the point. I'm just pointing out that Israel is bombing a lot of Semites. And that's what I want people to think about. And that's why I say something that is obviously not true, but that also make it stick a little bit. Another way is to comment on this Big Balls when he tried to stop a carjacking. Big Balls, that is famous from Dodge. I don't think he works there anymore. But anyway, cool guy. But when he tried to stop a carjacking, that reminded me about this dressing up in Arabic clothes to try to do a false flag attack on King David Hotel. Something in between there and to dance in ecstasy when World Trade Center is falling apart. So nothing of this, of course, had anything to do with Big Balls or that situation, but other people were doing equally stupid comments, but without the sneaky point behind it. They said it reminded them about January 6th, and that's the same thing that just try to make you think about what they want you to think about. And that's how you can do it, and that's how you can spot what people are actually trying to fool you with. So let's start by, I uploaded a video yesterday, so I thought I could comment and maybe add a little bit to it. So it's the faith system where you have focus, authority, tribe, and emotions. So if you have a media message, a narrative, you do a lot of repetitions, you have some visual and emotional kind of message, as I've explained before in those rules of manipulations. You want to repeat a lot, you want to use emotions, and you want to make people blow up their ego. I come to that more. But yeah, if you see something that's repeated a lot, you might think that that is important. Of course it's important for the ones who are doing it, not for you. So be very aware that something is repeated way more than it should. Here you see a maple with maple-shaped leaves, actually. And authority, when all the experts come out and they suddenly support something new, they probably got an order to do that. Not because the facts or anything changed, but because they have a plan to push a new kind of narrative on the world. So sudden change, how the experts are talking, then you know that something psyopy is going on. And be careful to not be forced into a tribe. You should select your tribe yourself, and maybe not as strict as you might think. And with tribe in this case, it can be, for example, we patriots, we want these things, and the others, they are traitors. And then it's more about your ego and your feelings and your connections. And then someone can come into your patriot front, and they are, of course, infiltrators, and they have the exact opposite in their interests. And even if it's just only a narrative on the TV, and the same with the science worshippers and the deniers. That's just a way to divide people who are not paying attention to the actual issue and the facts. And all emotions, if they are strong enough, you can't think. Regardless of how smart you are, that doesn't help. So you have to take a step back, and if you just see very emotional, fearful, or loving, or tribal kind of hateful message, whatever, then it's bullshit. It's manipulative assholes that are trying to destroy your life and the planet, basically. And when something new comes up, the novelty of it, what is this? Suddenly you have a lot of images of a new animal that is very cute, but you have never heard of it before. And why is it coming right now? And why it's so weird? It might be timed, because they need to cover something up that just a distraction, basically. So you like to see stuff that is new, that's why you are watching me. But if something is artificially new, why is it new? Why is it happening now? Always think that. And when you see multiple sources, and then it turns out it's only one source, but the different people are talking about it. Sometimes it's even people criticizing this thing. So then you think, if someone criticizing it, it must be real. No, it's not in evidence. Noisy people doing noisy stuff, always. So be careful about that. Always look for whatever the opposite opinion or a third opinion about it is. Cognitive dissonance is very dangerous, and this happens when facts and reason, they don't fit with whom you think you are. So here we see a white beam, not a Swedish white beam, but a white beam, and you can see it's a little bit whiter than the Swedish white beam, and different leaves. So how do you use cognitive dissonance if you're really evil? You create it, of course, because if someone have been locked in to some position, you can count on them to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Even though it's not helpful for them, they will defy logic and their own self-interest. So one way is to do micro agreements. You say to them, oh, you are one of the good ones, of course. So if you just do this tiny little thing, put on a mask, change your profile image, sign this petition, and then you're good. And then you continue to make them do tiny little things that confirm that they are the goods, they are on this right side, doing rituals, basically. So this can be used for good and evil. But when they do, and then they suddenly realize that this was all a scam to control them, they will refuse to accept that. Emotional script. So if you make people afraid of losing stuff, people really don't like that, and especially in social context, if you lose your close friends and stuff just because you change your opinion to match the facts, then you get owned as a slave. And of course, follow the money, that's obvious. And context, what is the boundary of it? Has it changed? Is it really an emergency? Look at the facts. Do they actually support that we should do this extreme thing suddenly? They suddenly shift it. We have some sniffles, and suddenly this sniffle means that we should lock everything down and close down businesses. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, this is probably a psyop by evil people. And archetypes, if there's a hero, if there's a savior, if there's a villain, that's a narrative, that's deceptive propaganda, that's not news, that is not facts, then you know you are dealing with liars. And evaluate the frame. So there are assumptions that they make. They say, yeah, if you do not want to comply with our COVID insanity, you hate humans, etc. And sometimes they don't say stuff, so they talk beyond the sale. Like, for example, to fight climate change, we need to build more windmills. So then they already assume that you think that this the climate change can be stopped somehow, or you have to go back and look what definitions and what reasons do they build their arguments on. If you only look at the arguments, you get fooled by this talking beyond the sale. And the obvious one, if something is censored, then it's the truth, basically, or very important. It might be a lie that gets censored, but there might be truth in the lie. For example, only Zionists can be anti-Semitic. That's of course a lie, and it might be banned because it's a lie, but that's not the real reason why they ban it. It's because it would be effective if they do that, then we know. And if you suddenly have to comply with a lot of stuff, and everyone says you have to do that, so you have created the illusion of a false consensus, then it's probably some evil people that want to do stuff with your brain. So that's, for example, doing all this micro agreements, like signing a petition, changing your profile image. And if you combine this with building up people's ego, etc., so they are on the good side. They have been built up their cognitive dissonance, or the thing that will create the cognitive dissonance, and then suddenly it happens fast and they can't think and they are emotional, and then they will be obedient robots. So look for the timing. If it's something unrelated that is happening at the same time, it's probably a psyop, some distractions. Of course, there are billions of reasons to distract people in general, just to get attention and clicks, of course. But if it's well coordinated, it's probably a psyop that is there to cover up something that you should rather pay attention to. And then logical fallacies. So these are used by dumb people and also by really smart manipulators when it comes to the bigger scale. So you should instantly spot all of these. and you need to know the names, so that's why they need repetition. And if you don't, you get fooled and you might die. So now I've given you some fear why you need to listen to me. Appeal to emotion. It's so horrible, can't you see? It's horrible, people are dying. And then for some reason you have to buy their solution to this horrible situation. So never listen to people. Just try to calm them down and say that no, we will not be manipulated by your emotions. You are not fit to do that. To explain what the solution should be. And the strawman argument, that means that you say that the other side that don't agree with me, they have this totally insane belief, and then you criticize that, because if you heard their more nuanced, correct opinion, then it will not work. But look, Hitler said that 6 million Jews should be exterminated, and he wanted to kill every one of them. And I think that's bad because look how horrible it is. Yep, that's a straw man argument. And as we are social creatures, they love to do bandwagon. So they say that I and many with me are thinking this, and everyone is thinking this. Trump does this in a humorous way when he says that, yeah, many people are saying this, and then it's something that absolutely no one is saying. It's just a personal attack on some unimportant person. So he's teaching about tricks sometimes by making them into total jokes. But if they are not jokes, they can be seriously brainwashing. And then the false dilemma, you can see this all the time when they say, oh, you have to select between that or that solution. Are you a leftist that want mass immigration, or are you a right wing that support Israel? And then you say, that's a false dilemma. I will not accept that. And here we have a pretty nice looking larch, otherwise one of the most ugly trees there is. Sorry for that, but you look fine. So no false dilemma, and if someone attacks the messenger or the one who is saying the facts, ad hominem attacks, then you know that's a total shithead. If they can't argue with the argument, but instead go after the one who is saying the argument, you know that these are bad people. They should be directly called out. You should never trust them anymore. They are manipulating pieces of garbage, just like they try to make everyone else look like. Appeal to authority. If an expert says something, an expert that's a total moron that is getting paid to lie about a particular subject on TV. So that's an expert. If you appeal to that, you are doing a fallacy. And especially if it's an expert that is suddenly called in to talk about something else that is not their expertise at all, then you know it's a sudden, rapid compliance, and well, they are changing the frames, and then you know it's a manipulation going on there. Slippery slope. If we don't stop climate change now, it will go out of hand, and yeah, we need to do something right now. Sometimes in both directions. If the gay people can marry each other, then soon they will want to castrate children. It's never true with the slippery slope. You can argue that, yeah, we can accept this, we can't accept that, but the slippery slope is a fallacy in general. And generalizations that suddenly comes from nowhere. Oh, look, there is a tree and it has fruits, and there is another tree, it has fruits. All the trees have fruits. No, they don't. So they do that all the time if they do not want to, think. and they don't. They want to be heard only. And then the red herring, which means that it's just a big distraction. You can insert, there were no planes on 9/11, and aliens and stuff, and the most crazy stuff that is inserted so that people go after that instead of the most important things. And with the vaccines, if you focus on, look at this data and this data, do not look at all causes mortality, because that will totally destroy all the vaccine narratives. And false equivalence. I have told you before, if you use an analogy, that never ever works to persuade anyone. They will just argue about that your analogy is not perfect and it's not the same thing. So, but if someone is trying to use it on you, it's very easy to spot. Look, when Hamas were attacking Israel, they were shooting and killing some military soldiers and taking some hostages. That's totally the same as if Israel for 2 years are bombing and holocausting Gaza and taking a lot of civilians and shooting their own civilians just because reasons. So no, they are not equal, and they should not be treated as equal. Call them out at once. So that's about the persuasion. Relook at the video and always ask the right questions. So this is super important. If you can just ask the right questions, then you will shape the narrative. And we have some examples of that, actually. Let's start, however, with uncensored AI can, for example, answer your questions. And if you ask about Gaza and the Holocaust there, it will give you the truthful answer as well as it can. But Amira Dalton shows how important it is to ask right questions. So she and others asked Grok and Gab AI. It was about all this Arabic slave trade. You have heard about the horrible Arabic slave trade. And then Amira Dalton asks about Radhanites. What were the Radhanites? They were Jewish slave traders from the Dark Ages, Middle Ages, and so on, from Ukraine and Russia to the west of Europe, to the British Islands and Ireland, and to the Northern Africa and the Arabics and the Ottomans, etc., and others. So if you read up on that, you miss a lot of, distractions from the real criminals. Someone who is not a real criminal, US&Goddek, he went to USA. Don't do that. If you can avoid it, do not go to USA. So he was interrogated for 5 hours. He lives in Brazil and he has been critical about vaccines and Jews and all sorts of things. So he thinks that they illegally went through all his equipment. Be prepared for that. They will do that. And they might even send you straight home because you're persona non grata. So don't go to USA if you can avoid it. I want to excuse J.P. Morgan. He was not a nice guy, so he was with the ones who were creating the Federal Reserve in 1913, and then he died. But that year, he was not Jewish. He was from a Welsh family, and they did work very closely with the Jewish bankster mob, but he himself was not that. I had him in my image to illustrate Federal Reserve, but now I've changed the image so that he's marked up as a non-Jew to make it more correctly. And finally, if you want to insult someone, or if you want to, first of all, attack. We see jet fighter, JAS jet fighter. If you want to clean up your city, you can Bukele it. So that's the president of El Salvador. And if you Bukele something with a lot of crime, then you clean it up like he has done with El Salvador. But if you do not like someone, like the liar Laura Loomer, and you tell her that you want to Bukele her, don't do that. You might end up marrying her because, like Bukele, he Bukeled his wife, who is a US. So yeah, Bukele the crime, don't Bukele USS, Jewish ladies. Let's say it like that. Heimstaden, and the big one there is a black poplar. And with that, see you again tomorrow for more bragging and less wisdom and less JAS jet fighters, I hope.